Hello, welcome to this how-to guide on using Excel and pivot tables to analyze foot lesion data. Here in front of us we've got some foot lesion data exported from Uniform using the report writer template that I've created. So you just go into her details report writer and you can upload the template if you've got a copy of it, or you can create your own template. In this case I've got lesions going back for 4 years, but this farm switched over to Uniform in 2019, so we've only got 6 months worth of data in 2019, and we've only got 6 months of data from 2021. So 2020 is the full year's worth of data. So that's the one we'll look at in this how-to guide. When you export the data from the report writer, it has this top line here which just shows you this is all sort of data from their reproduction section, and this is from their milk yield testing data. We can get rid of this top line, so let's delete this, and that will just help tie this up. We can click on this, select all the data, and then double click on these vertical lines, and that just puts the column widths at a sensible setting so that we can now see all of the data. And let's add in a filter so that we can just clicking on the filter and just having a quick look. All the cow data looks right. We've got various dates going back multiple years. In this case I'm going to make a start and select on just including the 2020 data. So now we've only got 2020 data in there. I'm just going to go through them all and check everything looks sensible there. That's fine. We're not going to do any limb analysis. We've got some treatment dates. Okay, that's fine. They're all sensible treatments. And we just check, yeah, all the parity looks right, all the pregnancy status looks right. Let's just check the days in milk. It goes up to 696, which that's fine. And then just check the milk yields. Milk yields go up to 75.8, so we've got a high yielding cow in there, but that's as to be expected. So I've applied the filter, so we've just got 2020 data. So what I'll need to do is copy this data into a new spreadsheet so that we're just copying the 2020 data in there, and we're going to leave behind all the others. I'll just restore this back to all of the years worth of data, all of the 2019, 2020 and 2021. I'll label this 2020 just to be clear, and now we'll create our pivot table with all the lesion data. So you'll recall from the previous recording, we'll highlight all the data, insert pivot table. We've got a little box that's popped up, you can't see it. All the data is correct, it wants to put it in a new worksheet, so let's click OK, and now we've got our pivot table, which I'll label pivot 2020. So to start with, I'm going to put all the cows down one side, and I'm going to put all the health data along the top, and then we'll use disease date as our means of counting how many recorded events there are. We need to be careful with interpreting the number of disease events. So let's look at cow 46 here. She's got 11 recorded foot abscess events. But if we go back to the raw data, let's look at cow 46. I'll just use the filter to find cow 46. Oh, just take me, there we go, there she is. So she's got all these foot abscess recorded events, and she's got some sole ulcer and a sole fracture, which is really a heel ulcer. But actually a lot of these events are just multiple administrations of Betamox, which actually is worth exploring with the farm, because for a foot abscess she doesn't need Betamox. She needs anti-inflammatory, she needs paring out, she needs a block, but she doesn't need filling with Betamox. perhaps a bit of blue spray is the only antibiotic she needs. So let's restore that back to how it was. So that's straight away created an important discussion for me to have with the farm. I will freeze panes so we can see all the headings. If you're not familiar with this, we just click on the cell where we want to freeze the panes. We go up to View. There's a button here, Freeze Panes. I'll pick the first option. You can't see that, I don't think. And now when I scroll down, you can see the heading values are still there. When I scroll to the right, the cow numbers are still there. And that just allows me to have a look through the numbers, look through the figures. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and I'm going to create a count function. Here we go. I'm going to select all the cows here, hit return. So there were 5 cows with a recorded abscess of a non-foot nature. Not sure what that would be, but we'll have a look at it. I've got to convert that to a percentage of cows in the herd for that 12-month period. So we're creating a period prevalence. Let's convert that to a percentage with 1 decimal point. So 0.4% of cows had this interesting abscess non-foot, which I'm guessing is a hock abscess. I'll pull that all the way across, and now we've got a prevalence, a period prevalence. So 7.5% of cows in the herd had a recorded digital dermatitis lesion at foot trimming, 6.8% on our parlour screen. So we're picking up a few more cows at foot trimming. Maybe that's not surprising, and some room for improvement there, I would think. What we want to do next is we want to create this, put this into a table that we can then report back and look at in a meaningful way. So I'm going to copy all of these results, put it into a new sheet here. I'm going to right click, paste special. Now you can't see this drop down box. That you will see there's a button that says value. I'm going to paste values. I don't want to paste the calculations, and I'm going to click on a square box at the bottom right that says transpose. And what this does is it puts all of those parameters into 2 columns. I'm going to go back to the pivot table. I'm going to do the same, but this time I'm going to do it for these headings. Scroll all the way across, copy, paste special, values, transpose. I'm going to label lesion condition at the top here. I spelled that correctly, that's all good. That's count, and this one is percentage. We could just put it like this, that would be simpler. Let's convert that to a percentage with 1 decimal point. We could now convert that into a table. Let's put some lines in it. Let's sort it. Let's sort. So the drop down box has appeared when I've clicked on the sort button up here. We can sort. It's recognized heading. My data has headings, and I'm going to sort by percentage, and I'm going to select largest to smallest. So here's the rank of the conditions according to the period prevalence, the 12-month period prevalence, percentage of cows with digital dermatitis, 90 cows with digital dermatitis. That's quite it. So 5% I think is a good target figure. So we're below target for white line lesions, but we felt that this was probably one of the main areas to target. Sole ulcers at 3.8%, definitely a means of getting that lower. So we can explore the data to try and understand that. and we maybe want to understand whether we can improve on the digital dermatitis. So some things to go at there. We can make that bold in italics, which will make it look a bit more like a table. We can put a thick line around the outside of it. Let's go back to the home. That will make it again a bit more like a table. So that's period prevalence. Let's call it PP for 2020. Let's do some comparisons now. We've got two 12-month periods that we can do a comparison with. So let's go back to the original raw data. Let's select I'm just clicking 2021, and actually within 2021 there's a little square box. I can just deselect July and August. We will just look at the period quarter 1 and 2. So again, I need to select all of this data, copy, we'll paste it into a new spreadsheet which we will call 2021 quarter 1 2. And we will highlight all of that, insert pivot table, new sheet. So this is pivot 2021 quarter 1 2. It's worth labeling all of these worksheets so that you don't get confused, but you'll get quicker and quicker at doing these. So I'll show you how quickly you can do it, particularly if you take a bit of a shortcut and you do a little bit of copying and pasting. Now there's a downside to copying and pasting these all the way across, is that the ranges are a little bit different, so you don't probably save much time. So look, it hasn't worked out that range, so I need to do this anyway, work out the range of cells that are included in that calculation. So let's pull that across. We'll copy and paste this into our table. Where has our table gone? Here it was. Oh yeah, period prevalence. So we'll copy, paste special, values, transpose. So those are those values for 2021. We'll double check we've got the right headings. It's worth being careful on the headings. So again, we would go and copy, paste special, values, transpose. Just want to show you can do this relatively quickly, but we need to be careful that the lines match up, and of course they won't, given that we've sorted them by prevalence here. We could go back and resort these data, sort. We could sort by lesion and do it A to Z, and then just make sure that they're all matched up. Digital dermatitis, they look pretty well matched, except we've got here interstitial growth, and we had foot infection. Well, crikey, what's foot infections affecting 3 cows? Let's delete that one. Delete, shift cells up. There we go. Now that's much more likely to map. We delete those 2. Yeah, that's matching up pretty well. The problem we've got, old wound. It's 1 cow. Let's delete that one. Shift cells up. Sole fracture, sole ulcer, thin sole. No toe necrosis. Well, hey, that's good. So what we'll do is we'll just shift those down and stick a toe necrosis in there. I treated one of these 2 toe necrosis cases, so one of them's probably been culled, or someone else has managed to treat her, and the other one has disappeared. Let's convert those to percentages. We have to be careful with this comparison because we're comparing 6 months with 12 months. Perhaps what we needed to do, so we divided by 1200 cow years. In this case, we needed to divide by 600 cow years. So in this case, what we need to do to make this a comparable figure, we either need to multiply it up, or we find the figures for the comparable 6 months in 2020. In this case, I'm going to double up because there will be 600 cow years in that 6 months worth of data. So I'm just going to multiply this by 2 to make a comparable figure. And I'll take that across to that. So just check that's all looking good. Now we will convert that back to percentages. So that's percentage 2020, and this one is percentage 2021. So here's all the data tidied up and completed now. So what I've done is I've populated this column or sorted these columns according to the most prevalent condition in 2021. You can see it's actually the digital dermatitis found in the parlour, which has almost or just over doubled, but that's reduced the number that we've treated in the crush, so there'll be an overall cost saving there. Most other things, I mean, thin soles increased slightly, but there was a big problem in January, so that would have skewed that data. Limb damage is still high, so we may need to do more in the way of grooving. White line lesions look like they've come down a little bit. Bruised soles have come down a little bit. Sole fractures have gone up, but then there's been a lot of heat in June, which I think has given rise to an increased rate. But it was interesting to note that there seemed to be a lot of sole fractures in staler cows, so that might just reflect slightly poorer foot angle or unbalanced claws in some way, perhaps. I don't know. The digital dermatitis, we've talked about that. That's gone down. Sole ulcers appear to have gone down. Less underrunning. I'm not sure what to make of that. Fewer abscesses, great news. Fowls about the same, but not bad. Abscess, non-foot, minor. So these other things, no toe necrosis. Wow, what a great result. So you could see now you can add some comments to this type of graph. Okay, we have to be a bit cautious comparing 6 months of prevalence data with 12 months. It's not quite comparable, but actually what we'll find is these figures will be lower. You would expect them to be lower than expect them to be relatively higher compared to the 12-month data, because if you go over the 12-month period, it will still be probably the same cows that are affected with these lesions. There will be a few extra, but proportionally there won't be as many extras. So actually this looks really promising, and we can do the full 12-month review at the end of the year as we gain more data. So hopefully this has given you some ideas as to how you can quite quickly use pivot tables, sort them out, color code them, and put them into a table for some comments. And you can then delve into some of this data, like the sole fracture heel ulcer scenario, and just try and work out what has driven that rise. That's the one for me that's leapt out as perhaps something it's still relatively small numbers of cows, so this could just be noise around the normal variation. The other one to go at, I think, is the limb damage, and I think the sole ulcers are very preventable. We could get this down lower as well. Great, thank you very much.